Welcome everybody back to Boost in Motion, guys. And it's been a minute since I've made a video talking about new parts for our VR30, Q50, and Q60s. A shout out to my 37 family. I know you guys are still watching the videos, and or my other Boost in Motion family that may not even have this car. But thank you for showing so much love, and I hope you guys continue to hit the like button. Anyways, let's jump into the video. So shout out to YPIPE Tuning. They designed a air-to-air intercooler kit for the VR30. Now, why is this pretty interesting? Because through their own tuning and or they have their own from our intercooler, they got to achieve about 490 wheel horsepower on 93 fuel. Why is that important to most of you guys? If you've been in this platform for years like I've been, 490 on 93 is extremely freaking high. Because commonly these cars with bolt-on modifications such as full catless downpipes, CATBACK, exhaust system, and an intake, you're making, depending on the ambient DA and everything like that, you're making between about 430 to about 450. You might even see 460 if the car's really healthy and they could just really like squeeze the power out of that car, right? But BRP designed their intercooler kit, and I'm going to show the video here. Now, with this kit, what they did was they removed our air-to-water intercoolers, the two square boxes at the top of the motor. Remember, we use the air-to-water intercooler system to bring down the charger temps for our cars. That's what the tuners do to get us to run the most amount of performance, right? So what most companies have been doing, pretty much all of them have been doing, is paying attention to a couple of things. They've been going with a larger heat exchanger because the heat exchanger for our car is like this big. So we go with one that's like this tall, and this wide, which adds more coolant to the system, and or because it's mounted at the front of the car, you have a lot more cooling that comes in from the air. It's air cooled, right? Also, you have other companies such as AMS Performance, which also has a fender tank that also adds more coolant to the system, almost to, I think it's 1.7 gallons of coolant. That's better because that allows the car to bring down the air-to-water temperatures a lot faster and have quicker recovery because there's so much water in the system. Think about how easy it is to warm up a cup of water compared to warm up 2 gallons of water. It's a huge difference. It takes a lot longer. So that's why most companies, majority of companies, have been paying attention to adding more coolant to the system and or adding larger capacity to the system. Now, what YPIPE Tuning did was, let's get rid of all of that. Now, I would say in the drag racing community, from what I remember reading and learning is most of them actually, the heavy horsepower cars, they usually use air-to-water intercooling systems to keep the coolant temperatures down, right? Because I remember reading, now this is just from me reading, I remember this, just me, don't beat me up. The reason being is because usually the change in performance with an air-to-air system could be drastic and not that consistent depending on where you are. But compared to an air-to-water intercooler system, it's a lot more consistent. But guess what, guys? We don't have 1,000, 2,000, 300, 3,000 horsepower cars. We're dealing with 400 or 500 horsepower here. So the variance is probably very small and minimal. So they went with an air-to-air system, which deletes the whole coolant system. This removes a lot of coolant, weight and or systems from the car. I'm gonna talk about some things I'm curious about, but by doing so, this should lighten up the car's front end. Also, I would assume because depending on the piping setup, there's probably barely any difference in the amount of PSI across the threshold from post and pre intercooler. Some people would sit there and say there's probably a little bit more lag. I highly doubt it because our turbos are very small. So And if they design the system very smartly, I don't think there's barely that much more lag really at all with it. Especially if you can start, depending on how they control the wastegates, they can really get that PSI a lot higher up. But all in all, I think this is actually great for the community, and I think it could actually give some people a bit more choices if they don't want to deal with adding so much more coolant to the system and or making the interior or the engine bay more sophisticated and just more confusing and tight. Now, there's a couple questions I do have. I know it could probably be handled within tuning itself. I know that on these cars, if the water pumps fail or start messing up, you will get false codes, and or the car might actually put itself in limp mode. But I wonder how they can maybe tune that out, or I'm assuming you could probably just jump a couple wires or put like some kind of resistor or something to confuse the car to think that those water pumps are there for the heat exchanger system. Also, I am a little bit confused on how consistent it really is, because I would assume that just like heat exchanger system, right, the air to water intercooler system, right, more and more poles your car will get heat soaked. This is just what's going to happen. The charger attempts are going to slowly start climbing. Even with more recovery and much cooling you add to the system, it's just not going to be as consistent. Now, with an air-to-air system, if the ambient is basically damn near the same, yeah, the turbos are always going to compress that air to a certain amount of air charge, but it's not going to keep going hotter and hotter and hotter unless you like really push the turbos really fast. But I would assume that there will be more consistency, because back-to-back pulls on the air-to-air system, I don't think there should be. The hypothesis should be that much more different. But compared to an air-to-water system with the more coolant and the coolant heating up more, the efficiency of the system will start going down. So this is just some of the things I was just sitting there thinking about an air-to-air system, and I think it'll be pretty dope. I think it's pretty cool. I remember there's another company who designed something similar, but it wasn't as simple as this system looks like. The other system looked like it was way more complicated and had super amount of lag, because I know piping size must matter, core size of the intercooler must matter. A lot of things gotta matter when it comes to tuning. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully, Hussein from Racebox gets his hands on this car and starts tuning himself, and other cars with it, and he'll report back to us in the community. Definitely report back to me, because I want to know what the deal is. Because if we can delete our heat exchanger systems to gain on average just 30 to 40 wheel horsepower over our air to water intercoolers, I think this would actually be a really good bang for its buck, depending on the price of it. Because if you're gaining 30, 40 wheel horsepower just on pretty much a heat exchanger and or a intercooler setup, you can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that at all. And that makes you sit there and think, maybe the air to water intercooler system just really isn't as efficient for air charge cooling compared to going full air to air. So outside that, guys, stop ranting. Shout out again to VPF Tuning for being one of the companies out there that go out there and make an air-to-air heat exchanger for our platform. And shout out to all the BOOSTINMOTION family that continue to watch all my videos. Hope I keep it very informative. I have so much love for you guys. I think you guys always bang with your boy Boost. If you made it to this part of the video, you should already be part of the Light Squad. Please, and if you're watching the video for the first time, if you didn't enjoy it, check out some of my other videos and then think about subscribing. But also, for everyone who's watching too, if you are subscribed to the channel and you're on your phone, just double check to make sure that bell notification next to the subscribe button is set to all. There's like three different options, and sometimes it says moderate or sporadically. You want to put it to all so you get all notifications. Outside that, guys, you can contact me at BOOSTINMOTION on IG, Facebook, and BOOSTINMOTION@gmail.com. Otherwise than that, guys, you have a good day. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. You can also check out the 2 links I posted for some of my other videos. Also, on top of that, if you want to purchase some BOOSTINMOTION merch, definitely check the link that I posted also. And finally, if you've been watching all my videos and you enjoy them, please hit the link to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you.